And just to let you guys know too, we got a hard stop right at the top of the hour after this hour. So I'll be available to answer any questions that you have coming around here. And we're going to go through the material pretty quick today. So it's goal setting, which is really pretty important stuff. But anyway, before I get into content materials, I'm going to leave the time open for another minute or two while everybody's logging in to see if you guys have any questions about anything. If you've had anything come up in your real estate world that you want to throw at me and have me help you. Is anybody working on their master list, pulling those names onto a master list and can share maybe even some success or good things that you're getting from it or feeling from it or organized? Go ahead. I think somebody jumped in the background for a second. Nope, we're not taking any calls now. You can be on hold. All right, we got cartoons going on in the background. Woohoo! Wow, where's our crew today? It looks like I'm missing a lot of people.
Hello.
Hello, the important ones are here, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm just beginner, just joined it.
All right, we're actually gonna jump into the material though, so we can get going. Actually, guys, this is a pretty big session, so I'm glad you are here today. I know that even when we went through this on the first round, just anytime I get into this material, there's just nothing that should be taken lightly. Like the content is really pretty hardcore. So, and the more you can sit through this material, like we're just really restarting Ignite over and over and over, and basically going through it about 4 times a year, I think, maybe 5 times a year. The content is so powerful that every time you hear it, you're going to hear something different. And I just want to kind of preface this by saying, as you're watching this session today, if you're here or you're watching the recording, we're not going to master this material in one sitting. And it doesn't matter if it's a full day session, a half a day session, or a 1 hour session. The other thing I'll tell you about the training style that we're going through that I feel can best help you apply this to your business and understand it. There's a couple different ways to do it. The first one is we have textbook material that we're covering, yet we're filtering it through real life real estate where you guys can ask questions. You can throw real stuff out. Last week or last session, we had some FSBO stuff, for sale by owner stuff that came up. And we talked like 3 or 4 super powerful scripts to grab control of that seller, move them up the chain to be able to choose to hire the right agent faster, right? That kind of stuff. And it's by talking through real world stuff, taking the textbook material, having a conversation around it, around real world real estate. Second thing is to master the material, which hopefully everything in here, if you're building a real estate business, pretty much everything in Ignite is something you want or would want to master in your real estate business, because it's all a big part of the real estate business. And I'll tell you that the best thing you can possibly do is make this commitment for, 2 months, that every day you're going to spend an hour on Ignite. And so tomorrow, your Ignite involvement would be printing down the book for Spark 6, because that's the next session coming up. Read through the material. Then on Friday, show up for the material. And then on Saturday, just take 1 hour and review the material and your notes. And that's 3 connections of that material. And you're looking at your notes, which is the real world stuff that showed up while we were going through this session. And you do that, and you do that with all 18 sessions. I mean, there is your blueprint. Then you can go through the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which if you don't have a copy of that, you just get that from your front desk. And you can start reading that book, and you can see how everything fits in there. And you've got the how to growing your business, all those things in your business. Again, I'm gonna, after saying that, I'm gonna open it up. If you guys need to unmute, want to ask something or get clarity, or tell me if there's something that you saw from the title of this class today that you wanted to make sure you got out of today, while I share my screen here and get us rolling. Okay, we're gonna jump onto this material and go through it. You guys can definitely raise your hand if you have any questions at all. But today we're talking about goals, and this is all on the part of grow your business. So we're focusing on the lead generate for buyers and sellers by setting those goals and attending training and getting coaching. And again, this isn't necessarily, you know, in an hour, we're not pitching maps.
All of the activity also goes to Quest, no?
Oh, we got little background here. Let me see if I can take care of that real quick. I think they might have gotten muted, so we're good. Should be good. All right. So envisioning your big life, guys, this is probably the biggest thing. And this actually started in one of the very first sessions that we had, and it was your why. What is your why? And one of the ways that I asked that was, what makes you want to get out of bed every single day? Not even just get out of bed, but jump out of bed and go lead generate for 2 hours or 4 hours. I mean, you have to have something. You have to have something you want in your life, and you have to have a big why, a big reason why you chose real estate to be your vehicle to either have the flexibility on your schedule, to have the income, unlimited income potential. Maybe you showed up in real estate as your last ditch effort to make something work. And I mean, I literally just got off the call with a gentleman that, you know, the conversation with the spouse is, you know, if we can't, it's a tough market. If we can't get this going by the end of the year, we're going to have to go do something different. I have that conversation with people all the time, and doing something different means you're giving this a try. You're practicing real estate to try and make enough money to make it stick. But if it doesn't, then I got to go do something else. I'm going to have to go get a job. I'm going to have to do something. Then I can do this part-time. Well, if you do that, you're just spiraling the wrong direction. The other thing that I've seen happen is sometimes people get in a fortunate situation where they've got a nest egg of money, or they've saved up some money. Let me be real specific about this, because I'll be sharing this in another group call today, that I have seen 25% of the top agents, like we're talking 200, 300 agents that sell 200, 300 homes a year. When the market shifted back in 2005, 6, 7, and 8, when that happened, they did not shift with the market, and they depleted everything they had saved up for retirement. I mean, we're self-employed, right? We're going to have a money chapter on this too. That's a big one. You want to absolutely be on that one. And they depleted what they had saved up. About 25% of them depleted. Now, 25% of them excelled. They grew their business during the crash. And the other half just kind of held their own. Maybe dropped a little bit here and there, maybe went up a little bit here and there. But it was the 25%. I'm talking out of 200 people, guys, that's probably like 30 people had their entire savings wiped out because they didn't shift, they didn't have systems in place, and these were top agents that spoke at events all the time. Not necessarily Keller Williams, but all of that. So, you know, when you complete what we're going to talk about today is kind of the 411 and how to figure out what you need to focus on every single day and drive that towards what you need to get out of your real estate business. Does anybody want to unmute and share maybe what you want to get out of your real estate business, or why you got into real estate in the first place?
Brad, George here.
Hey, George.
I had a bad accident 4 years ago, and I can't go back to the work I used to do. So when I was laying in Kessler rehab, in 2017, I ended up having 9 operations. So I've been fighting my way back, and my why is for me to take care of my family. Get up every day to, they shouldn't have to suffer because of what happened to me.
Great.
That's
Well,
my
and you
goal.
didn't have any control over that either, I don't think, right?
I
You
was
didn't-
hit and run from behind on my motorcycle, left for dead on the side of the highway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
So, and I'm sorry to hear that, and thank you.
Yeah,
for
well,
sharing.
you know what? I got karma. I don't worry about it. I got to get up every day and make it a better day than yesterday.
That's absolutely right. And I love your attitude. So guys, yeah. And see, it's not that they're having to suffer because of what happened to you. What you didn't ask for it to happen to you either.
No.
So you shouldn't have to suffer either. Now what we're talking about is just real world stuff that happened. Now, here's the great thing, guys. Here's the thing about a real estate business. You can be any part or any piece of this business. I mean, you could have had something way, way worse happen where you're paralyzed or something like that, right? I mean,
Close.
and you can build a real estate business. So I have coached and had people build businesses where maybe they're not super outgoing. Like you kind of think if you're the rainmaker, you're the one going out, you're creating the relationships and you're doing all this stuff. Guys, I have had the complete total introvert cave dwellers are the rainmaker. Now they are going to need to put a person in place to be the person that goes out into the sunshine. And I say this, George, because if somebody really were stuck at home, they could still build a real estate business. You're just going to leverage your people a lot quicker, and you're going to look for the pieces that you need in your business to make it happen. And you can still build a real estate business being a quick cave dweller sitting in a cave and not even going outside. It just is a lot harder to do.
Well,
So
I believe in PMS, positive mental attitude. And if you don't have that, you're not going anywhere.
Absolutely. And so here's what I would say. And I'm going to kind of pull everybody back for a second. When we did the exercise of how many Facebook friends do you have? Do you know how many people are on your Facebook friends list, George?
Yeah, total Facebook and my contacts is 2343.
2343. So
And I went back looking, and there's another 300 and something in LinkedIn.
Yep, I got you. So, and there's some overlap and things like that, but there's easily 1,500 by the time we take out any duplicates, overlaps, whatever, somebody who might be a realtor, whatever you want to call it, that it's not what it is. The other than that, we technically have 23 to 2,600 people that are moving sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, right? Everybody can agree on that. It doesn't matter if they're a real estate agent, doesn't matter if they're an inspector, doesn't matter who they are. Just watching for that open mic here with the background noise. It doesn't matter who they are, they're moving. Now, like I said before, 60 to 80% of all real estate agents don't make it past the 3rd year, 4th year, or 5th year in real estate, and they get out. So even if they're on your list, they're a potential. The thing that I want to get here is that George has somewhere between no shadow of a doubt, 230 to 460 opportunities every 12 months for the next 5 to 10 years. So listen to that number, 420 in the next 5 years if everybody's moving every 5 years, and it's at least 230 if they're moving every 10 years. So if you take out some duplicates, it's still going to be over 100 transactions a year. Guys, it does not matter what market you're in. I don't even look at volume. I don't look at commission. I look at transactions, because transactions will drive volume and they will drive commissions. And it doesn't matter what market I can go into. If I wanted to move into your market right now, in 12 months, I'd have 100 sales. It's just absolute, because those people are moving. And what you got to master is that follow up with all 2,300 people. You can't call 2,300 people and stay in touch with them in 1 week or 1 month. So you have to do it over time with the systems. And that starts with the master list and feeding command 5 a day and connecting. You guys are going to accidentally double and triple your business just by calling people and writing the note with no other system behind it, if you have that master list. Go ahead, George.
No, I just, and I have another opportunity probably for another 100 over the weekend. My daughter's getting married, so it's been a crazy week. But the other side of the family, they're not even, I haven't even touched them yet.
Yep,
There's another
exactly.
whole group.
So that's a good segue into this slide right here. Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. And guys, the thing is that what you're talking about, a wedding, life is going to continue to happen. Accidents happen, weddings happen, babies are born, parents need you to come take care of their house. All kinds of stuff happens all the time. So you want to always, if you are focused on this master list and you are focused on 5 a day, that's pretty simple, right? And you're putting 5 people in a day, no matter what's happening in your lives, that when you get out of your comfort zone and you're always doing better, then when this stuff happens, it pulls you down to comfortable. If you're at comfortable or you're not even at comfortable yet, like the conversation I just had about, if we don't really get some sales going by the end of the year, I've got to really look at some other way to bring in money. That means that you're going to get sucked below comfortable. And then you have to rely on resources that you shouldn't be tapping out. So whenever somebody says even they have a nest day and they're like, I'm okay for about 6 months. I'm like, no, you're not okay, because that 6 months is going to show up really fast. And the more you take out until you replace that with predictable income, you're going to deplete it and eventually be out. So today, guys, what we're really talking about is looking at setting big goals, big, hairy, audacious, they call it BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, and looking at big outcomes, and then doing all the small things along the way till you get there. Okay. And the one way you do that, we've got the greatest tool in the world. It's a 411. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And again, we're not going to master the 411 today. I'm going to intrigue you enough that you're going to go to somebody, whether it's a productivity coach in your office, whether it's the team leader, or whether it's just dig this book out and watch this again. And I want to understand the 411. And I say this because I have taught the 411 at the international level, like it was a half-day course or something like that. Out of 180,000 agents, there are not a lot of agents, maybe a handful or 2 of agents that I know probably live by the 411. And what you're going to understand about it today is it is something that you should live by or could live by every single day to keep you focused on the right activity. So I know we talk about it a lot, but I want to give you the tools that you can actually start using. And man, when you get it, when you review the 411 material at least a dozen times, it's like this big boom. Oh my gosh, this is the most amazing focused on 20% activity tool that we have. And when you use it properly, not as a to-do list, then you're going to get the benefit of it. So that becomes your have to do list. All right, jump in.
What is 411?
Say that again.
What is 4x11?
411. And it's like in the old school days with old telephone systems, you could dial 411. It was called information. Like you could call, you remember that? Where you could call and actually, I'm looking for somebody's number, I'm looking for whatever. So it's a 411, and it actually spells out, and we'll go through it a little bit more too, but it's 4 is the 4 weeks, and then your 1 month for that 4 weeks, and then your one piece of the year, 1 year. So you're kind of basically taking your 1 year goal, breaking it down by the month, and then breaking it down to the 4 weeks. And what you're doing is basically every single month you are completing 1/12 of your year goal, and inside every single week is 1/4 of that 1/12 piece, so that you don't get caught at the end of the year and you're off goal. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Awesome. Yep. Always jump in and ask those questions. I know when I was throwing MREA out there and understanding that some of you are actually new and you're like, what's a MREA? And I don't know if I have that book yet. So
I am a new person. I just joined.
Yeah. Just jump in anytime you have questions about that, because otherwise we're already going through this material pretty fast. And then you're like, by the end, you're like, I don't even know what a 411 was. But this also brings up a great point. Remember when I was talking in our last session before, whenever you're talking to consumers saying CMA is a comparable market analysis. We use that term in real estate all day long. MLS is the multiple listing service, right? We use that term all the time. When you throw those things at a consumer, they have no clue what you're talking about. It just goes, whew. And if that happens, then they can't process the information that we really want to share with them because they're still trying to figure out what the heck a CMA is. So I always say we're going to look at other homes like yours that sold and what they sold for and what the market has been paying for those homes in this market. That is a CMA. That's the definition of it. But that's how I say it to a consumer. All right. So what this does is this 411 we're going to talk about helps us focus on the actions that get the stuff to happen to start moving you up that trajectory to make the big things happen. So if you have your guide or a piece of paper, you might want to write some of these things down. There's on page 3 of your guide, it kind of shows you just some big life stuff here. Let me see what I have for my notes on this. So each of the 5 rectangles, oh, this is where you guys are writing what your goal is in the circle. You have a blank sheet of paper in your workbook. I just needed to trigger my brain on where we were on this. You've got a blank piece of paper in your workbook where you can put whether it's the dollar number or whatever. And understand that you need to be okay with whatever that dollar number is. One of the things I have done in my life is just mastered living without regrets. And the only way I mastered living without regrets is I take action on anything that I don't like where I am. I take action to get out of it. The only thing I can't take action on is things I don't have any control over. Like no matter what I do, I cannot change the outcome of it. And that, again, I can't have a regret towards that because I cannot change the outcome on that. It is what it is. George, I'm gonna throw that in as a perfect example. So the accident is something that happened. You can't change that it did happen. However, what you can do and what you are doing is having no regrets where you're sitting right now today, and you are taking action to make sure that happens to benefit your family. So thank you for sharing that earlier. There's nothing he can do to take that away. It is what it is. So now, how do you become the millionaire real estate agent that even after something like that happens, you can still make $1 million selling real estate?
Make my 5 calls a day.
Yes, exactly. 5 calls a day. Guys, it will happen by accident. I mean, you will have the biggest life you could possibly imagine. And if anything, 5 a day is going to set to where you accidentally do way more than you ever imagined. And now it opens your mind up to see even bigger, right? Because now we talk about expansion and expanding all around the country and doing all that stuff. Guys, that's been Gary's vision for us as real estate agents from the beginning, that we can build a franchise of our own inside this franchise model. And they're giving us all the direction and tools. Man, the people like Cody and Kristen, Cody Gibson, Kristen Cole, I mean, all of those people, Adam Hergenrother, those guys have paved the way and they've gone through the pain. So another thing that I'm going to tell you as we're going through this stuff, and when we talk about the 411, understand it's a model. It's proven. You don't have to get creative and do different, try and figure out a new way to do it. You do not have to figure out a new way to do expansion. There's already enough people that have gone down the path before us. We can shortcut past all those very expensive mistakes that they've made, right? I mean, I started an expansion team before expansion was even a word at Keller Williams, and expanded. I started a team in Lincoln, Nebraska. And as a coach, because I'm coaching people that were growing their businesses, growing their teams, systematizing everything, I kind of look at my business, my Brad Korn's business, where I sell this 100 homes a year for 20 years straight, is really just my laboratory. Now, it is my core living that pays the bills and supports the lifestyle that I have. And it allows me, the coaching allows me to use it as a laboratory where I do stuff to get the results that I know I can then share with you guys. So that's why this material and going through Ignite with me on this session for, you know, what Mary Beth and I have set up for you guys is tremendous, because I'm not just talking fluff. I go back and I do it, and all the models work. Sometimes you have to tweak a word here or there or do whatever, but the model is what you got to get in place before you get creative. So when you look at this 411, and when we get there, just know, follow the model just like it is and implement it and use it before you start changing it. So if I change a script, I've used it at least a dozen times before I'm changing anything. And the only reason I'm changing is because I used it a dozen times and it didn't get the result that I wanted. So it very well could have been the way I was presenting it. But when I tweak a little word here or there, or the way I present it or where I present it, and all of a sudden I start getting results, then I know that works for me. So always start with that core stuff. But you're in your worksheet, if you're looking through this, you're looking at that big goal number, and that's your big life. That's like, what's the most you can imagine, or the most that you need. Now you could make a photocopy of this. I don't mind doing this either, and having the absolute core number that we have to make our bills every single month. Because that, when you start breaking out the big picture, you can kind of drill back and do the same thing with what you absolutely minimum have to do. And believe me, when you want to look at the bigger picture, but this is just like, you have to at least do this. And that's the 5 a day. The 5 a day will take care of it automatically every single time. If you just add 5 a day, write 5 notes a day, and then you do your best to keep in touch with them until you get a great follow-up system in place, it will take care of all this stuff. It starts filling in the numbers for you versus you have to drive the numbers into that circle and make that business happen and go find the next deal. So understanding your goal. So where does it go? This has been another thing that we've shared a lot of times, where all the money goes when you're looking at a commission dollar. So no matter what number you put in there, the textbook version of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent is going to say, if you put $300,000, I'm going to say $400,000 for math's sake, just because that's easier. If I put $400,000 in the bank or as my number, 30% is going to go to expenses, 30% is going to go to cost of sale, and you're going to be left with 40%. Now that is textbook. Textbook means if you open up the chart of accounts in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and again, I'm just triggering things for you guys to go look at. Go find the chart of accounts if you haven't done it yet. It's in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. In fact, Google's amazing. You can probably type in Keller Williams Millionaire Real Estate Agent chart of accounts, and you're going to find it. You're going to find a site there. The One Thing has a whole bunch of that stuff in there. It's all on the Keller Inc. website, I believe. So all that stuff's out there for you just to look at and start bringing it into your world and understanding, just glancing at it, seeing what it is, and then digging a little further. So unless you're following that to a T and all your percentages match up exactly, you should be at 40%. I can tell you, as a matter of fact, sitting with the top agents in the company at like masterminds or at family reunion, when we have our top agent breakouts, there's not a whole lot of people that are at 40% profitability, like 40% net with 30% cost of sale and 30% expenses in their businesses. And we're talking big businesses. They're more like 18 to 23 to 25%, because we're human and we don't follow the model exactly like we should. And maybe we were a little creative on the front end. See, there's a lot of us that were real creative before we had the book, before we had the models, and we've gotten where we've gotten by being creative, right? That's why you're also in business for yourself, is because you are creative. But yet when you drill it back and start following the model, you can regroup and recount. I don't do a lot of the cool, fun stuff that a lot of top agents do, because this dollar, there's a couple ways to look at this dollar, is what's going to be left at the end of the day. But it's also, if you guys will write this down, if you spend $1, make sure you get $5 to $10 back. And I'll say that a little differently. make sure anything you spend money on in your real estate business is getting you a 5 to 10 times return. And I'll tell you what that is not. What it is not is the guy that calls you and they're selling banner ads or they're selling leads and you're paying for them up front, and you're not going to get a 5 to 10 times return on those. Otherwise, we'd already all be signed up for them. They're not. In fact, if the salesperson ever says anything like, you know, if you just get one sale, it pays for the whole thing. That is the automatic, this is not a 5 to 10 times return. And then you can just flip the conversation around and say, can you guarantee a 5 times return? And ask them the question, can you guarantee a 5 times return? Even if you know they can't say they can guarantee it. And the next thing they're going to say 100% of the time is, well, we really can't guarantee that. Okay, you better put your red light up. Gary talks about red light, green light. Red light is don't do anything until you have revenue generating from the things that you left the green light on and went for. Now you get your return for 5 to 10 times return, and you have your red light on for everything else. But if somebody's going to guarantee me a 5 to 10 times return, great, show me how that's going to happen, because I'll sign a 10-year contract on that, right? So you have to get the guarantee. And if they won't be able to guarantee it, so before you do anything, go back to the drawing board and find and look for maybe models, or just pick up the phone and call me and go, hey, I'm looking at this really cool opportunity. It's, you know, it's a moving truck with my billboard on the side of the moving truck. Great. You need to calculate that to get a 5 to 10 times return. So if the truck's going to cost you 40 grand, then it needs to make you $250,000. And so you got to drill that down and figure out how that's going to show up. And you don't wait a year or two to get your 25,000 or 250,000, sorry, $250,000 back. That would be a minimum. So what is that moving truck billboard going to do to generate $250,000 in net commissions? Because that's a 5 times return, and that for you guys might be 30 to 40 sales. So now I start thinking, how can a moving truck generate 3 to 4 extra sales every month that I didn't have before? All right, that might have been just some feedback popping in from somebody jumping in, or did somebody have a question? All right, so in your commission dollars, you got your co-op commission that's got to go out. You got the market center collects their cap until you cap out. You've got business expenses, and then you have to take something home. So whenever you're plugging that number in, you need to know how this all works so that you can calculate the right numbers. See how we're doing on time? Oh yeah, we're doing great.
Brad,
So
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not correcting you in any way, shape, or form. I'm just absorbing. But I thought the other day you said you needed $14 for every $1 you made or spent.
No, great question. There was a 14 to 1 return or a 10 to 1 return with some of the stuff that we were talking about. And I believe that was on lead generation.
Yes.
So getting a 14 to 1 return on lead gen. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
And honestly, guys, what I'm sharing is the stuff that over, you know, the last, 20 years that I've been here at KW, I hear the consistent message from Gary and Jay and our friend that we all missed terribly, Dave Jinks. If you didn't meet him, he was an amazing guy. So I'm bringing you that stuff that I hear because I go to everything all the time, and I go to it at least a dozen times. There's a message that you can always hear. Like Gary talked about the 8x8 and 33 touch for the first probably 8 years that I was at Keller Williams. In fact, Mega Camp in the old day, if you guys have been familiar with Mega Camp, we do that a couple of times a year, I believe. And that used to be if you sold $6 million or something and above, you got invited to Mega Camp, and it was high level conversations for mega agents. Nowadays, it's open to pretty much anybody in coaching and who will come and all that other stuff. But when I was sitting there listening to this going, if you had to do 6 million and above, and for really probably 3-4 years, the first 3 or 4 years that I went to Mega Camp, we were talking about 8x8 and 33 touch for 2 hours. And I was sitting there in the audience because I did it. That when the book came out, pages 133 through 148. You might write that down. Pages 133 through 148 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. For some reason, that section popped out at me and it said, this you have to master. This is the core. This is the one thing for every single real estate business. And what it ended up being was the absolute way to get to 100 sales a year for everybody sitting on this call, based on your Facebook friends list and your phone list. So that is what I consider the absolute one thing. Now, I know you can make anything be your one thing and you don't want to get distracted from it. So if your one thing is, I really want to be the king of for sale by owners, you're setting up systems and mastering that until you've got it down. However, pages 133 through 148 is the way you do that. And it really is the 5 a day, feed the database, the 4 laws of lead generation that are the core, that until you get that down, I believe everything else is going to take longer to get the results that you need. It's going to require leverage and people and money and everything on the front end to get there without pages 133 and 148. So that's how critical those are. Okay, so if your average sale price is 500,000, your commission, your gross commission on that's going to be 15 grand. So as you sell your properties throughout the year, the market center is going to collect, and this is different for every market center, but I believe you guys are probably like in this $30,000 price range. They can be anywhere from 21,000 to, I've seen them as high as 50 and 60,000 in some markets where they're higher price. And what that cap dollar is actually what we contribute. See, we're not paying it until we make money. They let us keep some commissions before they take money away from us. That's why it's on a split. But that provides the brick and mortar, the conference rooms, the front desk, all that stuff, right? The staff that's checking your contracts, all those things are provided. And honestly, I don't think you can go start a new company out of the box on your own for less than even $37,000. Hiring a front desk, getting phone systems, copy machines, the things that you would need to run a real big business. Like just imagine 100 sales alone with your business right now. You got to be at 100. Everybody can do 100 sales. So could you do it for less than that? That's why I'm at Keller Williams. I honestly could not go start my own real estate company for $37,000 a year. Now, I have a big team and I have my own phone systems, and I've built my business through over time that I have a lot of stuff. I have my own copy machine here in the war room. So I don't even use the front desk really. I mean, my calls don't go through the front desk. I do have a conference room that I can use there every once in a while, but I'll go out and meet people out wherever on site. And again, it is just that the company has built its value so that I still couldn't go do a business and have that building to go to as often as I go there for that kind of money. And then the $3,000, just so you guys know, that's the franchise royalty, and that goes to your region and it goes to international, and that's how they run their system. So they're able to charge less than the market center because they have 180,000 agents sending in 1,500 to international, I believe. Don't hold me to these numbers, but I think that's what they are, and 1,500 to your region, and then they're bringing value back out. The region doesn't have as many people as Keller Williams International, but that's what runs Keller Williams International, is that franchise dollar, and that caps. So what I know for sure is when you cap at 100%, you're a pure 100%, other than just like our tech fee and your main office, like monthly bill that you should have. That's probably all you got. But there you've got around 40 grand if the cap dollar was at 37,000. So when you look at your number that you need, this is the kind of formula that you're going to run it through. If you said 250,000, you got to take 40 grand off because you will have capped on both of those things. You would have paid in both of those. So you put 40,000 in there. And then what they're basing the 75,000 on is 30% of your total gross commissions goes to expenses. Now, if you're not really running a budget, and if you didn't pull up the Millionaire Real Estate chart of accounts to see 10% goes towards marketing, 10% goes with this, 1% goes towards that, 3% goes towards that, and you're not matching your numbers up to make sure you're spending that amount of money in those fields, This is just a stab, right? And if you're not running on the models and you're not following the model, your business expenses may be higher than this. I mean, think about it, guys. Just when you first got into real estate, if you can go back to your first day in real estate, even whether that's now or you just got in or you've been in for a little while, I mean, you had to pay $400, $500. How much is your guys' school there when you go to real estate school? Around $400 or so? Yeah. So, and then it's like, as soon as you got out of school and you finally passed, it's like, all right, but we need another $300 and something to go to NAR. We need another $300 to go to our board. Oh, you got to pay us like another $200-300 to get your keys, and the lock boxes are $20 a piece. And all of a sudden you're finding that you're $1,500 to $2,500 in the hole, right? So think about the way, and I want to share this with you because you're talking to other agents in the marketplace. We have a profit sharing program. You don't have to go recruit people, but understand what the other agents who didn't come to Keller Williams are going through. There's some companies in your marketplace. You guys have the ones that are 50%. They take half of your commission and then they basically give you free office space. Do you have competitors that offer that model? Yeah. So the 50% sounds free. It's like, I'm getting into real estate. It costs me nothing to get in because they give me a place to sit. I got the phones, I got the office, I got copies, all that stuff, but they take half of your commission. So when you already start out at 50% and then you still have expenses on top of that, I mean, guys, they could be 70% of their commissions are gone, and you started out $2,500 in the hole, and they said, here's the phone, start making calls. Can you see why 60 to 80% of the realtors that get in can't make it? You start out too far in the hole and you can't make enough money to get back out of the hole. I don't know where my phone is. It's making noises in the background, so I'm going to shut that off. So 30% is textbook. You're going to find if you're just winging it, you might be spending money as you make it. One of the things I talk about in the E-Myth Real Estate Agent book, the very first chapter, I mean, chapter 1 and 2 is the story, but I think it's chapter 3 and 4. Gerber talks about money. I talk about how I applied that to my real estate business. When I went to franchise systems orientation, and I don't care if you're just an agent in this office and you're not looking at yourself at like leadership yet, and you might in the future, you never know where the path will take you with this company, because they build leaders, they build businesses worth owning, and whatever it is. Franchise systems orientation, Brad Korn was just an agent from a different company. I was at Remax for like 9 years, and I was going to franchise systems orientation to see what Keller Williams was about. And they basically showed you how to open a market center. Well, if you think about it, your real estate business is a market center. You're a market center within the market center. So franchise systems orientation might be a huge key piece for you to go through, just to not understand it, even if you don't like math and numbers, because that is not me either. I don't like the math, but I love business and I love money to pay the lifestyle and the things that I have to pay off my cars and to have a condo and all the other little fun things that we're enjoying life with. So I know how money works, but I don't like doing it, right? It's not my favorite thing. But going to franchise systems orientations, what showed up in my book is, what I did was I set up a capital account. And right now, you probably have your business checking account. You may have even gotten to the point where your personal checking account is one and your commission from real estate is in another. You may be there. If you're not and you have one account, then you're really just kind of winging it. You're trying to keep enough money in to keep going, and you're investing money to make money and all that other stuff, and you're spending all on one account. But even if you get it to a business account and a personal account, take it one step further and add 2 more accounts, your capital accounts, your capital personal account, and your capital business account. Have every commission dollar funnel into your business capital account. And then 2 times a month, on the 1st and the 15th, you pull out what you need to put in your business checking account to pay bills or do whatever. So if that money's not just sitting in your checking account, you just won't spend it on leads and marketing and things that you're not looking at. You have to go to your capital account and justify why you're going to move it over. Same with personal account. When I pay myself from my business first, right, my minimum that I need to pay my bills at home and car and insurance and all that stuff, I put it into my capital account, and then I only pull it into my personal checking account on the 1st and the 15th. Funny story. My wife right now, because I run my business this way, and right now I lost my personal checking card, but it's not being used and I'm not going to replace it. We have a mutual card. She hates it when we go out to eat and they bring it back and they're like, the card's been rejected. And she's like, she gets all embarrassed, and it's happening more and more because I only keep in my checking account what I know I'm spending. Guys, hear this. It takes me 2 seconds to go into my capital account and move it over to my checking account because we spent $70 on dinner that night. But it wasn't part of the plan that I had in there, so it's not sitting in my checking account. That to me is a great thing. I love it when it rejects, because then I know, okay, something's gone out of my checking account that I didn't plan on. My slush fund is over and I can't overspend or just spend until it's gone, because that's a bad trap to get into. All right, is this good stuff so far? Are you guys picking up a couple things?
Yes.
Hoping to save you for some big mistakes. So your business expenses, if they were at 30%, are at 75. So it's a good thing to start with, but actually knowing your real numbers is going to be key later. You just may not have enough expenses and enough income right now to really like get an accurate reading. But so this is a good example. So your total GCI is now 365,000 for you to make 250,000. Right? And then that's going to divide by your average commission per sale. That's 24 sales per year. That's to make your 250,000. That's actually a pretty accurate conversion right there. You can actually plug all these goals into Command. And what's really, has anybody else done this yet? Have you plugged your goals into Command yet?
No.
Nope. If anybody has, unmute and just share with us what you've seen from it. And if not, that's not uncommon. So I did this with the old system that we had, and it was amazing because as things are processing through Keller Williams, they're actually showing you where you are in relation to your goals. So guys, if anything, just write down on your piece of paper and put a couple stars next to it. Go into Command and find goals, and see if you can just plug that number in, because it starts matching up with your actual closed sales that are coming through. And pretty soon that could be a screen that you're going to go to almost daily, if at least not weekly, just to see where you are each week or each month. So that, again, just something you got to go play with. And it doesn't do anything for you if you don't plug in some numbers. So really look at your page 3 in your workbook, really think about what that number needs to be, run it through the calculations to figure out what the gross commissions needs to be, and then go plug it into Command. That whole process would take you 30 minutes. If you just were sitting in some quiet time, you sat it down, wrote it down, and then just open up Command and went to it. All right, so do the right activities. This is probably my favorite thing to talk about. 20% generates, 20% of what you do generates 80% of your results. But it also means that 80% of what you do generates 20% of your results. And I know I've probably said this with you guys before, but I don't know if everybody's heard it before, or really you were at the spot that you heard it. And if you hadn't heard it before, because we got new people in this round as well, you haven't heard it before. Think of it this way. 20% of what you did yesterday in real estate generated 80% of your income. And I'll say it one more time. 80% of what you did yesterday was only responsible for 20% of your income. So guys, if you want to really expand your business, if you want to really blow your business up, you could double your income. Whatever that income is, whether you like the number or don't like the number, it is what it is, right? If you want to double it, all you have to do is do the 20% stuff 40% of your day. That's not even half. That's not even half of your day. In a 10-hour day, it'd be 4 hours. In a 8-hour day, it'd be about 3 hours, 3.25 hours. And if you're working 5 to 6 hours, we're talking about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So think about that. In 1.5 hours to 2 hours, if you focused on your 5 a day, wrote your 5 notes, you got them into Command and you put them on a smart plan, and You do what the SMART plan says to do every single day that it pops up and tells you what to do. That is your 20%. And if you did that for an hour and a half every single day, you will double your income. If you feed your database every single day, which is going to take you half an hour to find those 5 people, get them in, find their address, pick the phone up, call them, write the note, maybe an hour a day. If you have a master list, it'll cut this process down. But if you did that every single day, that is your 20%. Law of lead generation. Build a database, feed it every day, stay in touch with it systematically, that cultivate it, and then it closes deals. And that's how you get more commission. So it is absolutely your 20%. So do it 40% of your day. Make sure it happens no matter what. What is the one thing that, I love this statement from Gary, what is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? And when Mark was running the company, not Mark King, the other Mark was running the company in, what was it? I forget which course it was. Gosh, I cannot remember it. It was the hiring process and things like that. He would basically say the one thing that will solve all your problems is bringing in more commission dollars. If a market center is having issues and problems with expenses being a little out of control, profit is down, the one thing that'll take care of that is recruit more agents, right? If you're struggling on the roller coaster ride of income and just sometimes you're wondering how the bills are going to get paid next month, the one thing that will absolutely take care of it is commission, more commission dollars, not adding a for sale by owner program or doing a dumpster event that's going to hopefully get you another listing. It is doing the 5 a day every single day so that that pipeline is packed and you got business popping back out of it. But money will take care of a lot of problems. And again, not to say it in a negative way, but money is good for the good that it can do. And if you're a good person, you can do good things with money, right? I was just talking to a friend that's struggling through the change in another industry, but with the COVID, it completely shut down his income stream, and his income stream was very good. They were living the high life. Lifestyle was awesome, bought their dream home, all that stuff. He's really struggling this year, and because that flow got shut off. Well, when that money's not coming in, bills are piling up, things start getting tough and struggling, stress builds up. That causes pressure on any type of relationship or marriage. And I mean, they're a great couple. They're like my friends, and I can see that it's happening. And I asked him yesterday, I was like, so like, if you really figured this out and got things under control and got the money flowing again, because he knows what he needs to do. He's just getting caught up in his own head, right? And when you have these goals written down, that's not written down to know how many sales to make X amount of dollars to be the minimum and to be the goal. But I said, if you got that fixed up, are you guys okay enough that you could turn this around and fix it? Because he said family and spending time with his family and his wife and his kids is important to him. Yet if it's struggling too long, it can get really, really stretched. So I just asked him straight out. I said, if everything was good again, is it still good? He's like, yeah, it would be good. I mean, we definitely have to work on it and get back. But man, that's so frustrating when money is the driving force between a relationship, right? And with kids and husband and wife. So hopefully, I mean, if you're in a bad situation and you're so far down in the hole, you're not sure how you're going to get out, please call me. I mean, we need to talk through it. We need to talk about your mindset, how you're talking to yourself. The 5 a day will take care of it. But if I need to help you get the 5 a day going, I mean, I'm here to help all of you guys, because I don't want to see that happen to anybody. Divorce is like right there next to a spouse dying. And I've been through both of those. So hang in there, do the right activities, focus on your 20%. It will take care of everything. All right, so here's the 411. This is how we'll kind of wrap out the class. I want you guys to really understand this 411 worksheet and how it works. And then I'll pause out for if you guys have any questions or anything. But we do probably have to finish in the next few minutes because I have to jump on another call right at 2 o'clock your time. So what this is, once you figure out your goal and your number of transactions and all that stuff, the only thing that goes on a 411 is actual 20% stuff. So in the example we had earlier, 24 transactions for the year to make 250,000. So if you guys have this worksheet in front of you, or if you have a piece of paper, do this. 24 goes in the annual goal, 24 transactions, right? I want you guys to get, this will be easiest way to understand this worksheet. 24 goes in the annual goal. Now, what I would do is I would make 52 copies of this. Once you got your annual goal down, you got 52 copies of that page with that annual goal on it. Now you're going to take the first 4 and you're going to look at the monthly goal, which is now, we're going to say October. So 1/12 of 24 is what? 2,
2.
right?
Yeah.
So 2 goes under October. I'm going to take 4 pages and write 2 on 4 of those pages because we got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And I'm going to come back and explain why you're doing 4 copies and 52 copies and all that. So now I got 4 copies that say 24 with 2. And now I've got the weeks sitting there. The next 4 pages are, so for the week to get 2 closings in October, I probably need to go on how many appointments to actually have 2 contracts close. Let's just say it's at least 1 appointment a week. You got to go on 4 appointments to make sure 2 close. For you, it might be 2 appointments a week. You might have to go on 8 appointments to get half of them to actually sign up or list with you or buy a house with you, and to have half of those close in 30 days or less. So it might be 2, 2, 2, 2 on your each week of each page. Each week gets its own page because that's all you're focused on. So when we get to week 1 of October, I have to go on 2 appointments this week, working towards my 2, which is towards my 24. Now, inside that week, what's it going to take to get 2 appointments? So I might need to make 20 calls to get 2 appointments. Really, you probably have to make about 100 calls to get 2 appointments, right? So now I can divide that up by 5 days inside that week too. 100 calls in the week is 20 calls a day. And so as you go through, you're Xing them off as you complete them that week. Here's where, so when that week's done and you got X's on your 20 calls a day and you got your 2 appointments, you had a week and you're already on your way to your 2 goals. Now week 2, put that sheet away, grab the next week. And now I've got to do it again, 20 calls a day to get 2 appointments so I can move towards my 2 goals. Now, if you had something left over that you didn't do your 20 calls a day on the first week, you got to move those now over to week 2. So maybe you've got 30 calls a day you have to make, right? Well, you can't just, this is why people don't use the 411, because they don't do what has to happen to hit the core numbers. So when I have those conversations, I'm like, so what are we taking off your core list? Why did you say you needed 250,000 and 24 sales? Well, because I wanted to pay off our credit card, I wanted to pay off our house and pay off our car. Okay, so now you've overlapped week 2. Now you're on week 3. You're up to 40 calls a day. It's not going to happen. What are we taking off your list? Are you just not going to pay off the car? Are you not going to pay off the house? Are you not going to pay off? But at least I know by week 3, I'm not going to hit 24 sales the way I'm going. So when you're watching that, and especially when you're first starting, now you know you've got to get to 20. You got to get to 20 calls a day or you can't hit your 250. Those numbers are going to shake out to be whatever they're going to be for you. So that keeps you focused on what matters most. Does that help you understand the 411? We're looking at 1 week at a time. Anybody have any questions about that?
I have
Okay.
a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a new, right? Just joined like a few days ago. So how should I start like looking and listing and open houses? Like KW will help me to go the open houses or
Yeah, so you're going to find 100 ways to do 100 deals. So you got to go back first. In this particular instance, I would figure out what you had to make. What do you have to make in real estate? And then you're just going to go with like what the average is. You can ask your leadership, your team leader, profit or productivity coach, what should I use as my average sale? So if your average is, you're going to start in the $200,000 price range, take that times 3%. That's going to be your gross commission. Got it? So wherever price range you're in. See, I sell stuff in the $100,000 price range. So for me to make $250,000 net a year, I have to sell 100 homes a year. I mean, I don't have a choice. I can't sell 20 homes a year with a $100,000 sale price. I can't make a living on that. So I know what I have to make. Now, if you're doing real estate for fun, then you got to figure out what's the time worth that you're taking away from being with family or whatever. What has to happen in real estate? And again, it comes back to what's your total money that you need to make from real estate to make it all work. Whether you're going to pay for vacations, you're doing it just for fun because your spouse is employed and this is your vacations. Great. How often do you want to go on vacation? Well, I want to go on vacation at least once a month for a week. Okay, so how much is that going to cost? That'll tell you what your total commissions needs to be. And that's for the core. So you do have to back it up and get to the 411 first. Now, when it says 2 appointments in your week, how are you going to get those 2 appointments? So if you grab open houses and you do that and you set a system up to get 2 appointments for buyers consultations or listings in your open house system, and you go through a month, 2 months, 3 months, and you're not getting 2 appointments, then open houses isn't your 2 appointment source. Got it?